I found my girlfriend's journal. Turns out I was just an experiment. I didn't mean to find it. We just moved in together a few months ago, nothing fancy. 2-bedroom apartment in Durham, North Carolina. Hardwood floors that creaked, an ancient fridge that wheezed like it was dying, and a little balcony that overlooked a parking lot. But to me, it was paradise. It was ours. Jess had always been private. She didn't like when I touched her phone. Her laptop was locked behind 2 passwords and Face ID. She journaled daily, but kept the notebook tucked away in her office drawer. I respected that. Everyone needs their space. But that night, she'd gone out for drinks with her friends. Her phone was dead, and she'd left it on the nightstand. I wasn't snooping, I swear. I just wanted to check what kind of batteries the TV remote used. Her drawer was closer than mine. I opened it, and there it was. Her journal. Plain black cover, a red elastic band, no name on the front, and I hesitated. If I could go back to that moment, I wouldn't have touched it. I wouldn't have opened it. I would have closed the drawer and walked away, but I didn't. I don't know why. Curiosity? Insecurity? Boredom? Whatever it was, it pulled me in. The first few pages were typical. Grocery lists, dreams, ramblings about her job at the university, complaints about her supervisor. Dr. Langston is a sadist with a PhD. Then I flipped to a page with my name at the top, underlined twice. Subject: Eric began June 12th. My stomach dropped. Subject: my name wasn't written with affection. It was written clinically, like a researcher tracking test results. I kept reading. Week 1. Subject: highly responsive to physical affection. Shows signs of emotional dependency. Already expressed love verbally. High score on attentiveness. Initiate phase too soon. What the hell? I flipped forward. Week 4. Subject has integrated into cohabitation phase. Minimal resistance to suggestion. Increased reliance on me for emotional regulation. Begins offering to cook regularly. Notes from earlier priming working. Week 7. Phase 3 beginning. Introduced mild neglect scenarios. Delayed texts. Cold responses. Observed subject's mild anxiety. Guilt-seeking behavior. Promising. It was me. It was all me. This wasn't a diary. It was a logbook. Every detail of our relationship, every laugh, fight, kiss, even the sex, it was recorded and dissected like data. And then came the worst part. Subject has not yet asked about the experiment language. Control remains intact. I estimate another month before optimal conflict phase. Goal: observe attachment rupture in real time. I dropped the book. I couldn't breathe. What did this mean? What kind of experiment was this? Was I just a puppet in her psychology thesis? A disposable test? My mind raced. I remembered things that didn't make sense. How she always asked how I felt about specific things. How she repeated phrases I'd said back to me in later conversations. How she once casually mentioned reactive bonding patterns during a fight, then quickly changed the subject. I picked the journal back up, my hands shaking. Eric's dependency is deeper than projected. Interesting ethical crossroads ahead. Am I justifying continued manipulation because I enjoy the intimacy? Must consider whether I've already contaminated the subject's arc. There it was. She wasn't just studying me. She was questioning whether she'd gone too far. And yet she never stopped. I closed the journal and sat there in the dark apartment, heart hammering, unsure whether to scream or cry or laugh. I felt like I'd just found out I was adopted and nobody told me. Or like I'd woken up from a dream only to find out that was the dream. A million questions spiraled. Did she love me? Was any of it real? Was I crazy for feeling this betrayed? The door opened. "Hey babe," she called. "You still up?" I panicked. Shoved the journal back in the drawer. Slammed it shut. "Yeah," I called, forcing a smile. "Just watching something." She kissed me on the cheek. Smelled like cheap wine and citrus perfume. "You okay? You look pale." "Just tired." I stared at her face, the eyes I used to think were so kind. The smile I thought meant safety. And I realized I didn't know this woman at all. She went to the bathroom. I sat still, mind spinning. She came back, curled up next to me on the couch like nothing was wrong. Like she hadn't been logging my emotions like weather data. Like she hadn't just documented attachment rupture as an academic objective. I didn't sleep that night, but I made a decision. If I was an experiment, fine. Let's see how she reacts when the variables change. I started playing a role, just like she had. Only difference, I knew it was fake now. She still thought I was blind. I kept everything the same on the outside, same breakfast habits, same flirty texts, same I love yous whispered into her neck every morning. But internally, everything had shifted. Every moment became data, every gesture a test. If I was the subject, then now I was flipping the script. First, I had to learn her schedule. That wasn't hard. Jess was ruthlessly organized, color-coded calendar on the fridge, alarms for everything, even labeled time blocks like journal reflection, 9:30 p.m. 9:50 p.m. She always followed them. I guess when you're playing God with someone's emotions, you need structure. So I planned my own structure. First step, information control. One night, as she slept beside me, I slipped her laptop out of its charger. I didn't try to guess her password, I waited. A week later, I got it. She typed it without noticing as we watched TV, 6 keystrokes, fast. I made an excuse, left the room, came back, and casually asked her to Google something on her laptop. When she opened it, I watched her fingers, memorized the rhythm. DENTAL4, that was it. Dental 4. Later that night, I used it. Her laptop had no encryption beyond the login. Inside, I found everything. Folders labeled case studies, behavioral priming logs, and the one that broke me, Eric. She had video clips of us, little ones. Me laughing while we cooked, me sleeping. Audio recordings of our arguments, transcripts, scanned pages of her handwritten journal, annotated with highlighter. She'd even run sentiment analysis on my text messages. And the worst part, there was a PowerPoint. Subject E, attachment-based behavioral reactivity and romantic codependence. She had a presentation with slides. I clicked through them slowly, bile rising. Slide 1. Objective: examine emotional resilience under perceived neglect in a deeply attached romantic subject. Slide 3. Methodology: 3-month trial. Structured engagement disengagement phases. Use of linguistic mirroring and induced guilt. Slide 6. Findings: subject exhibits classic anxious preoccupied attachment, extreme emotional investment, low self-differentiation. Final slide. Conclusion: results pending. Projection: high rupture trauma likelihood. Observations continuing. I stared at the word trauma. She had predicted my breakdown. It wasn't just an experiment. It was calculated harm. I could have confronted her then, but that wasn't good enough. She didn't deserve confrontation. She deserved to be studied. So I began manipulating the manipulator. I started with subtle changes. I became a little too agreeable. I praised her more often, complimented things I normally ignored: her handwriting, the way she folded towels, the way she bit her lip when annoyed. I responded to her emotional withdrawals, not with anxiety, but with blankness. And then the biggest change: I stopped initiating physical touch. At first she didn't notice, but by day 4 she asked, "You okay? You haven't kissed me goodnight all week." "Oh," I said casually. I didn't even realize. Her eyes scanned my face. I could feel her collecting data. It made me want to scream. "You always do," she said. "Since the day we moved in." "Maybe I'm just tired," I said. "Work's been heavy." She paused. Then, "You're not mad at me, right?" There it was. She was watching my reactivity now, nervous, the scientist feeling her experiment slip. I smiled. Of course not. The next morning, she cooked breakfast. She never cooked breakfast, and I knew then she felt it too. The control shifting. Next phase. Induce dissonance. I started talking more about my coworker, Anna. Not flirtatiously, but warmly, casually. Too many details. Anna said something hilarious at the meeting today. "Anna sent me this playlist, you'd like it. Anna's going through a breakup. Poor thing." Jess pretended not to care, but her journal pages told a different story. I snuck another peek, noted Eric's increased mention of Anna. Possibly reaction to disconnection cues? Unexpected inverse control effect. Jealousy response mild but rising. She was trying to reassert herself. I felt it in the way she started texting me more, complimenting me more, even trying to initiate sex more aggressively. I withheld, not in an obvious way. Just enough to frustrate her, make her wonder if she was losing me. And it worked. 2 weeks later, I came home and she was sitting at the kitchen table, journal closed in front of her. "Can we talk?" I played dumb. "Of course." She hesitated, then asked, "Are you still happy with me?" And in that moment, I could have said everything. I could have thrown her words back in her face, revealed that I knew, screamed, cried, made her feel every ounce of the pain I'd been choking on. But I didn't. I just looked at her and said, "I think I'm tired of being studied." Her face froze. What? I know about the journal, Jess, I said, keeping my voice low. I know about the folders, the logs, the experiments, the notes on how I'd break. She didn't speak. I kept going. You wanted to see what happens when you control someone's heart like a thermostat? Congratulations. But now you don't know where I stand, do you? And that scares you. She blinked fast. Eric, I'm not mad, I interrupted. Not anymore. I'm just done. And with that, I stood up, walked into the bedroom, packed a bag. She didn't stop me, didn't beg, didn't cry. She just sat there, the scientist watching her test subject walk off the stage. I left without slamming the door, because experiments end, Jess. But consequences? They linger. They say silence is deafening. But that first week after I left, it was intoxicating. I stayed at my friend Theo's place, just a small spare room above his garage, with a futon and some peeling posters of old bands we loved in college. But it was mine. No censors, no notes, no psychological dissection in my sleep. Just breath. I expected Jess to contact me. I even charged my phone every night, waiting for the text that never came. Not on day 1. Not on day 3. Not even after a full week. She vanished like smoke. No confrontation, no apology, no excuse. I guess when the experiment collapses, the lab shuts down too. Theo, of course, asked questions. What happened, man? You two were like glue? I hesitated, then told him the basics, that Jess had been analyzing me, keeping track of every word, every reaction. She what? His face twisted like he'd bitten into a lemon. Yeah, I said. I was her thesis. Her little controlled trial. He let out a long whistle. Dude, I don't even have a word for that. I did. Violation. But the strangest part, I missed her. Not the Jess that watched me like I was a petri dish, but the Jess I thought I had. The one who made playlists for long drives. The one who rubbed my back when I was too stressed to sleep. The one who once said, I hope I'm not a phase for you. Was it all fake, or was she just two people? I started checking her social media like some desperate teenager. Nothing on Instagram. Her last post was weeks old, a picture of a salad with that awful sepia filter she loved. Her Facebook was private, as always. Her Twitter, silent. I even Googled her university page. Still enrolled. Still listed as a research assistant. Still pursuing her master's in behavioral psychology. I didn't want her back, but I wanted to understand. How did she justify it? What did her professors say? Did they know she was using a real relationship like a whiteboard? I considered writing an email to her advisor, or anonymously submitting her name to the academic board, but every time I sat down to do it, something held me back. Maybe pride, maybe exhaustion, or maybe deep down I didn't want revenge. I wanted clarity. That clarity came from somewhere I didn't expect. It started with a letter, a real physical letter, folded into thirds, and shoved under Theo's front door one Thursday morning. My name on the front, her handwriting. Inside it was short. Eric, I know I don't deserve a response. I don't even know if I deserve to explain. But if there's a chance you're still willing to hear the full story, the truth, no defenses, no academic walls. I've left everything I owe you in a private folder. No passwords, no encryption, just me. No thesis. The link is below. You don't have to click it, but I hope you will. Just my fingers trembled as I typed the link into my laptop. It led to a Google Drive folder, simply titled, For Eric. Inside, 5 video files, and a Word doc called, Why I Did It. I clicked the document first. Her words blurred in my vision as I read. I started this because I thought I was helping you. That sounds arrogant, and it is. But at the time, I thought your emotional reactivity meant something was broken in you, and that I could fix it. I didn't tell you because I didn't think you'd stay if you knew. I justified that as a necessary deception. But the truth is, it wasn't about you. It was about me. About my obsession with control, with being the one who never gets left. You never knew this, but my last boyfriend cheated on me with my sister. I was living with both of them when I found out. I swore I'd never be powerless again. So I used you, and in doing so, I became the very thing I swore I hated, a person who breaks others to avoid being broken. There were moments I forgot I was running a project. I laughed for real. I loved you for real, but the lines blurred, and I didn't know how to stop. I'm sorry. You were never a subject. You were a person, and I was the experiment. I stared at the screen for a long time. I didn't cry. I didn't rage. I just sat there, letting the words wash over me like cold water. She'd known it was wrong. She'd known she was hurting me, and she did it anyway. But she didn't lie about the pain. Her voice in the document wasn't detached. It wasn't clinical. It was broken. I finally played one of the videos. It was a selfie recording. Jess, no makeup, hair pulled into a bun, sitting on our old couch. "I don't know why I'm doing this," she said, eyes red. "But maybe if I say it out loud, it'll make sense. I didn't fall in love with you because you were weak, Eric. I fell in love because you were kind and open. And you trusted me more than anyone ever has. And I broke that." She paused, swallowing. "I don't expect forgiveness. I just hope one day you'll believe that the girl who made you tea every morning wasn't pretending. She just didn't know how to love without dissecting it." I watched all 5 videos. Each one was rawer than the last. No edits, no filters. Just Jess, unraveling. At the end of the last video, she said, "This isn't a request to come back. It's just a hope that you'll know you changed me. And I'm sorry it had to happen like this." I closed the laptop, and for the first time in weeks, I felt something close to closure. Not peace, not yet, but the start of it. I didn't write back, didn't text, didn't visit the old apartment, but I stopped refreshing her Instagram. I stopped waking up angry. And slowly, I started living again. Because the truth is, even if you were someone's experiment, that doesn't mean you stop being real. And no matter how deeply someone tries to script your reactions, they can't write your ending. Only you can. A month passed. Then 2. I didn't see Jess, didn't hear her voice outside of those videos. Life slowly fell into a rhythm that wasn't dictated by reports or subtle manipulations. I got a new apartment. Something modest, 1 bedroom, decent kitchen, a spot on the 2nd floor with noisy neighbors and an old water heater, but it was mine. I picked up more freelance gigs, kept my head down. I started therapy, 2 real therapy, with someone who didn't write anything down while I talked. Her name was Dana. She didn't judge, didn't prod, just listened. "One session," she asked. "So what would you say hurt the most about Jess's actions?" I thought for a moment, then said, "She turned something beautiful into data. She didn't kill my love for her. She made me doubt it ever existed." That line stayed with me. Even later that week, when something unexpected happened. It was a Thursday evening. I was walking back from the corner store with a 6-pack and a frozen pizza, planning on a night of nothing. The air had that dry, cool feel that told me fall was near. I heard a voice say my name. I turned, and there she was. Jess. She looked different, thinner, maybe. Her eyes were tired, not just from lack of sleep, but from something deeper. Like she'd been carrying her guilt around like a full backpack with no straps. She didn't smile. Neither did I. We just stood there, on the cracked sidewalk. Strangers tethered by 100 moments we both pretended weren't science. "Hey," she said softly. I nodded. "Hey." Silence. She tucked her hair behind her ear. It was shorter now. "I didn't plan this," she said. "I didn't follow you or stalk you. I was visiting a friend on this block. Didn't think I'd run into you." I shrugged. "It's a small city." Another silence. She glanced at the plastic bag in my hand. "Frozen pizza and beer. You always were a Thursday traditionalist." I didn't answer. She took a breath. "I'm not gonna ask how you're doing. I just wanted to say I meant what I said in the videos. I know. And I'm getting help, not just therapy." I withdrew from the program. Took a leave. Maybe permanent. That surprised me. I blinked. She saw it. "I realized something after I sent you the drive. I wasn't just analyzing you. I was hiding from myself. Still." I said nothing. Just looked down, then back up. "Anyway, I'm not asking for anything. I thought you should know that I didn't keep going. That the experiment didn't matter more than you." That hit me. Deeper than I expected. I looked at her, really looked. This wasn't the Jess who smugly tracked my emotional variance. This was someone who had broken something and then watched it bleed for weeks. "I believe you," I said finally. She nodded once. Her eyes shimmered a bit, but she didn't cry. "Goodbye, Eric." I swallowed. "Goodbye, Jess." And just like that, she walked away. No dramatic kiss. No late-night text. No soundtrack swelling. Just a clean break. A goodbye with no parentheses. I walked home, set the pizza in the oven, cracked open a beer, and sat on the couch. And I didn't feel hollow. I felt human. 1 year later, I was in a bookstore, looking for something light to read on a flight. As I turned a corner, I saw her name. Jess Laurent on the cover of a small paperback in the psychology section. The title, The Ethics of Intimacy. When observation crosses the line, I flipped it open. The dedication read, "For the one who made me see that people are not problems to solve. They're stories to listen to." I bought it. Not out of support. Not out of spite. Just curiosity. I read it on the plane, all 240 pages. And for the first time, I realized something that had been sitting just outside the edge of my understanding. She didn't ruin me. She ruined us. But I was still whole, still standing, still me. And that was enough. Update 2 years later, I'm engaged now. Her name's Claire. She's not a scientist, not a therapist. She's a chef. Makes the best risotto I've ever had. We fight sometimes. She burns toast. I leave towels on the floor. But when she asks how I feel, she listens. Not to document, just to understand. And sometimes, when I tell her I'm afraid that some part of me will always brace for betrayal, she kisses my hand and says, "You're not broken. You were just overstudied." And damn if that isn't the truest thing anyone's ever said. If you like this video, please subscribe for more.